Yeah, just gonna put a little thing out. But oh, what you want?
Love you, baby.
Love you, honey buns.
Love you, baby.
Love you, honey. But I didn't realize how close Freddie was to probably being close. Well, I know he played a while, but yeah, his stats. And I just thought of something. People used to at times get their feelings hurt and their butt hurt on stuff I was saying on these on the Facebook at times, and I don't know Freddie like and I was kind of looking at some of his stuff to see what he had compared to like Chipper and some of them, even Andrew Jones has got more stuff stat wise, compared to, I mean, not all as brave, but but there's people like Dale Murphy still had more hits in a Braves uniform than Freddie, and then there's the home run total is not bad, I guess you could say. I think he could get at least 400 home runs if he stayed healthy. Thing that worries me now, and because I was debating on this, but somebody will offer him a deal, and he's a good first baseman. But the thing I worry about is when he goes and stretches for them balls and stuff, and the older he gets, the harder that's going to be able to be done. And he's every September, which come playoff time, he's going to turn another age. Some of them have birthdays in October, November. It seems like play forever, but his is one. Every time there's a playoff run, that's going to be a little bit scary, knowing that he's going to turn an age before the playoffs. And I think he had a pretty good way of going out. He got his World Series ring, and everything. I think if there's anything, that you can compare Chipper to him right there. Chipper only got one himself. So, but no, I was making the Chipper Jones reference because I couldn't really think. Okay, I couldn't think of anybody else at the time, but Dale Murphy might have been one I could have thought of. But he's closer probably to Dale Murphy than. I haven't looked at stats though, but I'd say Dale Murphy probably, hit a little bit less than Chipper. And I know Chipper hit 2,800 some hits. Like I said, Freddie's got 271 homers. Chipper has got 468. So a lot of that too is Freddie's had they had the 60-game season last year, which I wasn't a fan of. Then we had a couple times where seemed like Freddie, at every time you turn around, he seemed like either he got hit with the ball at times, on there, and his wrist and all that. And then one time he had the laser surgery on his eyes. So again, it's just depends on, there's a lot of time there missed. And then he had the virus, I think it said on there. I think he had that, and even in that shortened season, I don't think he got much to do, So by the time he come back, it's probably about over with, And whoever won that season, which, the championship, that's just a tainted championship. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the Dodgers. I think it's who won last year. I wasn't in favor. If they weren't going to play at least half a season, and or at least a little more than that. I mean, we like I said earlier. I was saying, the Braves played 144 games in '95 and came out the world champions. And that I could see, reasonably saying, hey. But I just was not in favor of all that, But yeah, Freddie, if you gave him 5 to 8 years, 8 years pushing him to 40. I wouldn't want to push him beyond that. And I was just thinking with my wife, I said, it might be a good idea that they might, have Freddie go to one of them American League teams and hit as a DH, but I know Freddie probably would say, yeah, but it would be good health-wise, unless you go out there and when you're running and get hurt. But, it would keep him off the field, and he wouldn't have to be out there so much. He already don't run like he used to. Of course, he's never been, I don't think, a fast runner by no means, but I could kind of tell, But, everybody's already started kind of being negative. Well, if he stays in Atlanta, of course, that'd be good. I don't think, like I said, if Freddie can play like he has the last several years and give it pretty much all he's got, and they don't have another one of these viruses things, then I think he could be something to hang on to. And, of course, he'd get over 2,000 hits by this point. So, the fact that he's got a little over 1,700 hits, as of right now, that just shows you how much time he's actually missed, and for a variety of different reasons, injuries, and then, like I said, and then there was a game where he went to go see his boy to be born, which I can understand that. But it's a lot of that, was injuries or things he couldn't help. And the wrist thing, if he just get out of the way of those pitches, obviously, the way he stands in there, it leaves him vulnerable to that kind of thing, and the fact that he didn't try to get out of the way a lot of times when those balls came in there and hit him. But somebody said, "Well, how about you try?" Well, I would try the best I could. I certainly wouldn't want to stand there with my wrist, vulnerable like that, or something to that nature. I think I could do pretty good, especially, now, apparently, watching it on TV and I know playing it, in a real game would be a lot different, but I've seen people that just turn their backs. I've seen people knowing a ball's coming, and instead of getting hit somewhere where it would definitely hurt, they choose either their butt, their back, or something. I've seen people on purpose turn in on them pitches and take it somewhere else, But, Freddie chooses to stand in there and hunches over, and then, that's cost you. But, no, I don't think comparing him to Chipper, I don't think it's a bad idea. To me, Dale Murphy, you could sit there and, probably throw him out there. He's not even in the Hall of Fame, and yet people think he should be in there. Andrew Jones, certainly can't compare him to Andrew Jones as far as defense goes, because he's got 10 gold gloves and was there for a long time. But Freddie does good for what he does at first base, but I definitely see the argument here of the writers, the people that's writing in You could make a case that probably Freddie Freeman's probably, done for. As far as getting anything long term, I would be saying he'd do good to probably get, like I said, if he got an 8-year deal, this would probably be his swan song. What is his last contract? But I think the Braves would be generous and probably offer him somewhere between 4 to 5 years, and might evaluate him, and might say, hey, if you want to play to your 40, I'll offer you a 1-year deal till you reach 40 or whatever, or something, or just offer him a year deal according to however long you want him to play. If he's that good, if he as long as he don't dip below, anything drastic, you could make an argument. You could offer him a yearly contract after this 3 to 5 year deal runs out, and evaluate him that way, and wouldn't look bad on the team, as long as he felt like he wanted to play, and to him, that's one thing. The Braves were never about, setting a lot of records or getting up there in the record books, just to be up there with some of the legends, past Braves legends, and comparisons to their records. It's kind of cool. I mean, like you got a 3,000 hit man and no Hank Aaron. You've got almost a 3,000 hit guy in Chipper Jones. little over 2,800 hits. So that's not bad. Then you've got, Dale Murphy. I think at least he was over at least a little over 2,000 for the Braves. I'd have to go back and look. But my point is, barring injuries and barring something, like another one of these virus things or some shit like that happens. Knowing our luck, anything like that could come at any time, since everybody's so conscious now of all this stuff has been out on the news. I try not to watch it because it's just so depressing. It's the same old 2 or 3 topics all the time, it seems like nowadays. So, but I just kind of thought, hey, I kind of agree, and if Freddie, wouldn't get in the Hall of Fame, obviously, if he wanted to retire. Of course he don't, but I'm just saying, if he retired today, you go out on a World Series championship. I mean, Jeff Francoeur and a lot of them Braves from 2005 is retired, and, a lot sooner than Freddie has. But obviously, Freddie still wants to play. But, not always getting in the Hall of Fame wouldn't be exactly, the exact reason you play baseball. You play because you're having a good time. You play because you're having a good time, and you want to, you want to do it. It's not like you're saying, "Oh, I'm gonna just go in and get in the Hall of Fame." I mean, look at Andrew Jones. He's in the Braves Hall of Fame, but he's not in the MLB Hall of Fame. Look at Dale Murphy. He's in the Braves Hall of Fame, but he's not in the MLB Hall of Fame. And it's like I said, there's probably some more people, that you can make arguments for. But, why, and another thing, Andrew Jones, speaking of something, Andrew Jones' number's not been retired by the Braves. I honestly think that the Braves ought to retire Andrew Jones' number. If he's good enough to go in your Hall of Fame, your team Hall of Fame, he ought to be good enough for his number to be retired. Hell, there's nobody else going to win 10 gold gloves in center field for the Atlanta Braves ever again in a row. That's just not going to happen. Now, there was a few cases back in the old days where it seemed like it was kind of a regular thing that just sort of seemed to happen. Somebody from some team would win 4, 5, 6 in a row. Maybe one or two times somebody win 8, 9, 10 in a row. But it ain't going to happen that way now. I mean, to stay good for 10 years, I mean, the closest I can think of was King Griffey back in the day. Jim Edmonds there, I think. But King Griffey especially. I mean, King Griffey, he chased them balls down like they were nothing. I mean, exactly like Andrew Jones. And I'd say Andrew Jones grew up a fan of, King Griffey or something because, I mean, them two in center field, for the longest time, it was a lifesaver. Almost every time that occasionally, they'll miss one or something, but 9 times out of 10, they got that ball in that glove and they saved them pitchers. And I was noticing something. They flashed back to the 1995 World Series and showed how, 26 years ago, Tom Glavine went 8 innings. And this guy, Max Fried, only got to go 6 in the game he pitched last night. And I'm like, that's the difference between today's managers and how they manage things. And, I personally would not, and I said this earlier, I personally would not have messed with Max Fried at all. Unless he told me that he didn't think he could go back out there and be the same person he'd been up to 6 innings. Now, I would have been generous and might have took him out by the 8th inning. If he got through the 8th, I might have been generous like Bobby. I might have said, okay, we're up 7-0. Hell, let the closer go out there and try to shut it down. But I wouldn't have jerked him out of there unless I thought that it was necessary. And I know a lot of people, because I ain't a manager or I'm not a baseball lifer, managed anything. Y'all kind of, they used to take it out on me. Well, I'm just I'm a fan that, and I don't keep all these records and things, and all that stuff. But I mean, I like to watch the Braves. That they got the tomahawk chop, and no, I hadn't been keeping up with them as good as I had been, last couple of years due to this stuff. I'm just not liked how they've done. But I did watch the game last night, and I've had it on to watch portion. Hopefully somebody on YouTube will upload it and everything. But no, I feel like the Braves, the Braves track record on re-signing people's not very high. And two, when Chipper was playing, there was a manager and a different different people were running the show. This John Schuerholz, for a long time, and Ted Turner. They obviously Chipper, is just one of those lucky few. I mean, Hank Aaron was close, but you don't see very many people get to live out their favorite team or play for their favorite team and always end up playing for them. I mean, you had Tony Gwynn for the Padres, called him Mr. Padre, and then you had Cal Ripken, who I think played the whole entire time for the Orioles. Like I said, you can go back in time and find a few people. Every once in a while, you up on a golden piece, a pitcher or something. John Smoltz was close to finishing out his whole career with the Braves, but he didn't want to retire in 2007. Or 2008, whenever that was, whatever year it was. I think it's the end of 2007. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you go look through any team and you can see a few people that's played, you can probably come up with a few, like about 100 people probably, if you looked hard enough. But, I mean, it's so few and far between, and with everything going on and money, Braves must have quite a bit of money, like I said, to blow, because obviously the Braves, made sure to sign him up the first time for an 8-year extension. If they gave him another 8 years, at this point, he'd be pushing him. But I mean, he's not declined as far as he's actually gotten better. I mean, this is probably, aside from, I mean, he got to play in virtually every game. I mean, he probably took an off day or two. But that's customary to give the guy a break. I checked they won 88 games this year. I mean, I've seen people with 82 to 83 games get in there. You know what I mean? But it's. I don't think there's any reason to necessarily tear up Freddie Freeman or anybody that's on the free agent market. But I do see their point, and so whatever the Braves decide to do with Freddie, which it'd be nice if they did keep him in a way, because that's all they got left is the Braves that, that's from 12 years ago that anybody remembers. Freddie's been through the wars, and I think they ought to reward him with something. To me, if they were asking me, and I'm just saying, if I was in Freddie Freeman's shoes, and they offered me a contract, would it be about, a lot of people get the big head, and these agents that work for these players sometimes don't negotiate quite right with their head. They kind of get the players' input, and they say, well, the player says they don't want to take less than this, or without this or that being in there. But if you're like Chipper, and I'm just saying Chipper is probably one of the easier Braves to work with. It's probably why they kept him around. He probably wasn't all about money, although they offered something to him, and and like anybody would, he would take it. But he didn't sit there and say, "Hey, I want 10 times as much." He just, whatever they offered him, he played for that, or whatever, and it was done. So if I'm Freddie Freeman, if they offer me something, and I think he's nice enough to do this, I think he doesn't ask for more. I think he takes it, or he says, "Hey, I'll even play for a little less than that, if you'll still have me play." Like I said, money, you do need money, but like I said, it's not the only thing that really matters. Because as much as money matters, and like I said, there's reasons to have money, but also you got to consider that you're not just doing an average job. You're also being paid to perform at a high level and at a skill level. And I'm not, and by no means am I discounting anybody who, I've seen a bunch of players played. They were in their mid to late 40s. One guy actually, Julio Franco, even played till he was like 50. But not like full time at 50. But I remember the Braves, seemed like it was the Braves that had brought him back. I was telling my wife earlier, had brought this guy back, and on his 50th birthday, brought him back and let him play a game for the Atlanta Braves, because nobody else would have had that guy on their team. He's 50 years old, you know what I mean? But a large portion of these players, it's not like 30-something or 40s old. By no means would I consider that being, ancient or, over the hill or anything like that. But you do have to get evaluated, and I think they're kind of there's, you know, a few questions in regards to probably not location, because obviously Freddie likes Atlanta, but you know, there's probably some issues there that they just not quite got to, or as I've heard, the Braves GM he'd come down with the virus stuff, you know, and that's why he wasn't there with his team celebrating with him. So it might be because of that too. You know, he maybe just gonna wait till he gets where he feels better. I mean, they've had people, you know, and I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but they've had, I know several times they've had people wait till the day before, the day of, or even some haven't even gotten offered till halfway through the season, you know, and then like people like that, what was his name? Oh shoot, I forgot his name. But there's a guy, Roger Clemens. Yeah, that's him. He was one of them that would come in, you know, and he would there for 4, 5, 6, 7 years or whatever it was, you know. There he had a stretch there for a while. It was kind of like the Brett Favre was to football, and you know, and then offer him some, you know, about mid-season, he would only, his condition was basically, if there's a team contending for a championship, I'll come in there and I'll pitch a few regular season games, and then I'll pitch, you know, if they want me to pitch into the playoffs or something. And if somebody's nice enough to do that, okay. But you know, it's like I was reading or was listening to this thing on there about the Undertaker stuff, you know, the wrestling, and Lord, they think he's going to come back out and wrestle again. I said, Lord. And I just kind of, me and my wife couldn't help but crack up. But, you know, you got to, I mean, you know, the guy's in his fucking 50s, and he's getting to where, you know, Father Time's going to catch up with him, and he already knows this, but it's like I was telling her, it's going to end up being like one of them Jerry Lawler things where Feather's going to have him wrestle one too many times, and then Feather's going to be witnessing something they don't want to have to witness, and that's him either close to dying in the ring or something, you know. I mean, as much I don't want to have to think about that, but that's exactly what will happen if it's not done right. You know, in regards to the Undertaker's, you know, deal. I mean, he's got a 15-year deal on the table, you know, 15-year deal. They could take merchandise and put all his stuff on it. They just filed for a trademark for his Undertaker character again. I guess that thing runs out every so often, I guess, and they have to redo it over, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it still goes, but you'd think once they had it, you know, and came up with it, I don't see how it could be. But I guess that's kind of one of those deals that's part of the red tape. But you know, but no, I was just going to say though that yeah, I'm hopeful though that you know we find out about Freddie. Hopefully, it's not going to be too soon. Oh, it's not going to be too long. You know, hopefully they'll get that squared away, and he'll know, and he won't have to wait. And some of these players I've seen, they've had to wait, you know, even hold out on the whole season due to the fact that either the team doesn't want to re-sign them or nobody else wants to sign them. And that, you know, the Braves have always had the most, I will say this, they've always had the most classiest of players. I mean, there was one time, two times that I know of. There was John Rocker, and there was another, there's a black guy that had done something to his wife or something. I don't remember, some crap. I can't remember his name. But in both cases, the Braves did the right thing. They got rid of it, and they didn't, you know, they didn't bother. You know, they traded John Rocker. They got rid of him right away. And he never was quite the same after he made those comments about the New York fans or whatever it was, and got it. And, Braves are that kind of team. Like I said, they're the underdog team, and they're the team nobody pulls for every year. But I've been laughing. I've had MLB Network on mute or on volume all day, just because it's kind of cool just seeing them have to talk about this because we won the championship. You know, we did the one thing that I said we'd have to do to get them to talk about it, son. And more than some, because obviously they ain't gonna have no choice. I mean, they'll be making a film about this in a few years, a short one. But the Braves will be the one that won the whole season. And then I have to remember that forever and a day. They can't take it back. But I can't wait to see the parade and some of the other stuff that they'll get to do. And hopefully they'll bring some of the old legends back out, and hopefully they get to kind of participate in some way in the parade at least. I know they have, seemed like in the past, brought a few of the ones that want to come out and join in on that. But anyway, I just thought I'd kind of come out here and put a few more thoughts out. But we'll see y'all later.